In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a crypto trading bot on OKX, one of the top exchanges, and how to run it and deploy it. This is not a clickbait. I'm really going to show you all the steps I did to have a bot. I'm not going to promise you any mountains because this bot really behaves how you want it to behave depending on the strategy, and its profitability depends on the strategy you implement. I'm going to show you a simple strategy that you can use that I started using as well at one point, and this is a strategy that takes two technical indicators, RSI and MACD, and looks at them both simultaneously, and if both of them produce buy, then it buys, if it sells, then it sells. Pretty simple to understand, so let's get started. I'm going to show you more how you can do it. Also, you have to remember that in the end you want to deploy this bot, so for that ChatGPT is also very helpful. And I think this video is a great tutorial for how to talk with ChatGPT. I had many conversations with it. I really like prompt engineering everything and thinking about how you can get the best data possible, especially that, as you will see, ChatGPT has knowledge only up to 2021, which doesn't include API for OKX. So you have to improvise along the way. So things getting started. First of all, OKX, you can trade hundreds of cryptocurrencies and derivatives on OKX, so this is a great way to start. They have also great API that we're going to use. So if you want to go to API, basically I'll provide the links down below, but first of all, there are two things you can see. First of all, there's an overview of API. If you want to apply to have a key, you will need that to trade. It's pretty simple. And then you have different REST APIs, WebSockets. This will be helpful if you want to get the data. And we want to get the data because we want to have current prices, which will be the base for our trading bot. Because basically how it works is that we're going to take the prices, we're going to apply the technical indicators, and those technical indicators then will tell us whether it's a buy signal, sell signal, and then we buy and sell according to those. And we're going to rerun this same procedure for each crypto asset on OKX every 30 minutes. So basically you want to deploy the bot and make it run all the time. So you really need the data. Another thing is you will need to install Python OKX. This is the library, the Python wrapper for OKX. Pretty cool one, not the fastest one, of course. This is not high frequency trading though, so we don't need to be the fastest. We just need to have accurate data and simple of use. So basically with this API, you'll be able to connect and get all the information you need. They have this here they have this tutorial with how you can get funds currently, how to get the market data. Basically how I started is putting these things into ChatGPT, showing it how it works, and then asking ChatGPT to give me the strategy. This is basically how I approached building this trading bot. And I'm going to show you all the steps. Now, for the strategy itself, if you want to read about the technical indicators that I've mentioned, one is MACD indicator explained. Investopedia is probably the best source here. I'm going to again provide the links if you want to read about them. This is a trend following momentum indicator that shows the relationship between two moving averages of a security's price. So this is one thing. Another thing being RSI, which you might know. This is the very common one. And basically it tells you whether an asset is overbought or oversold. So basically what we strive for the strategy, to put it simply, is that we want RSI to show us that something is oversold, and then that MACD also gives us the indication for buying, then we buy, and if it's overbought with RSI and MACD is showing us to sell as well, then we're selling. So basically this is simple. Both indicators have to show us at the same time that they're giving us the green light for buying or selling, and we want to do that all the time. So then again, every 30 minutes we go through all the crypto assets and we look for those double buy or sell signals, and we implement those if possible. So you will need to also deploy the bot either on your laptop running 24/7 or on Heroku, and ChatGPT is also good at explaining to you Heroku. Heroku is basically a simple cloud where you pay something like $5 per month, or if you just want to test it, then it will be free. But basically you pay a small amount of money for the bot to run all the time. Really useful in the cases like that where you don't have a lot of computations, but you still need to run the bot all the time. So really useful. Now let's get started with what's really happening with ChatGPT. Of course, I'm using GPT-4 here. This is the best way to get it because it's getting the context of everything I tell it much better. This is not my first conversation about this bot. I was like having different approaches, thinking how to approach it best. Also, there's some of basically my knowledge before asking, because basically I knew that I wanted to use pandas and NumPy for taking the data and manipulating the data. I need requests for getting the data from OKX. Then I have JSON to save some of the results, and then I, for example, need TA to have all the technical analysis indicators. This is really great because I won't have to implement myself and code myself MACD nor RSI. This will be getting for free. So basically I'm importing all the TA features, and then this is the sample code for getting basically all the crypto pairs. So this is what I've mentioned before with the WebSocket or the REST API in this case. I'm getting all the crypto pairs with USDT, and then I'm getting all the candles from OKX with all the symbols. So basically this is symbol, USDT pairs. I have a list of them and basically getting all the data. So this piece of code is giving me all the data. Now, this allows me to get all the data. Now I can load the data into actually the pandas, because I will be manipulating the pandas in the end. So I'm just processing the data. This is another function with the timestamp and everything here. Basically, I will have all the TA features added as well. This is the magic happening here with TA, and this is the function that I'm importing from TA library in Python. Really cool stuff. So you can add all the technical analysis features. So if you have a different strategy in mind, so for example, like I did in the beginning, I wanted to, for example, also have Bollinger Bands, but that was an overkill here. So you can do that as well. It's super simple to just have another indicator here. You don't have to do anything additionally, basically adding all the TA features here. Now, I'm going to keep only the columns that we are interested in, meaning everything related to MACD, the volatility. There is still Bollinger Bands, but I'm not going to use them in the end. Adding all the indicators. So as you can see, this is pretty simple from the pandas. And then here's the example usage. So I'm taking the pair if USDT, printing, fetching the data, getting the OKX client data, so all the candles for the past 40 candles for 1 minute chart, and then getting the response, and then processing the data within the pandas, adding the indicators. Now, the actual strategy is missing. So this, as you can see, this is pretty good because this gives me already data. I don't have even to log in on OKX or have any kind of API key. This already gives me data from OKX. So if you want to do like demo trading on your own computer without connecting real money, you even don't have to go to OKX. You can do it everything here because you will get the data from OKX directly. Now, I want to add the strategy, and this is where the magic of ChatGPT comes into play, because it actually allows you to get the strategy pretty right away based on the signals, and it understood right away. Of course, again, this is not my first conversation with ChatGPT, so I knew what to ask for, but basically it gives me the strategy that I had in mind. So it actually even gives me the really good description of what's happening. So as you can see, this kind of strategy is for generating signals. We want to have the buy signals and sell signals for each kind of crypto asset. And this, we're getting buy signal when MACD crosses above the MACD signal line, and RSI is below 30, so it's oversold. Now, and we're selling when MACD crosses below the MACD signal and RSI is above 70, which is overbought. So we want to have those two signals that I've mentioned in the beginning to show us buy or sell at the same time. If one is buy, another is sell, then we're doing nothing. If there's like no signal, then there's no signal, and we do nothing as well. And of course, if there's a sell signal and we don't have an asset, then we don't do anything. This is only spot strategy. We could, of course, short it here. You could do that on derivatives. Much more risky though, especially that this is more longer term bot. I don't think it performs well in a very fast paced environment. So if you're going to test that, be careful and maybe do not short everything, but you could change it here. It's very easy to change, just change spot to derivatives and probably you'll be fine as well. So with that thing in place, you can see that ChatGPT is giving me that I can generate the signals with all the indicators. Here's the magic. Then it gives me a way to visualize everything. I'm not really interested in that, so I'm ignoring that. And I'm showing it that this code actually gave me an error, but that was pretty minor. It gave me like a way to correct that. That started to work. I tell him it's awesome, and that I want, instead of plotting, actually I want to iterate over each pair, USDT pair, and I give a definition for USDT pairs as before. Basically wanted to go over all assets on OKX, and basically because I want to trade all assets on OKX without any discrimination here, just basically going through everything, and if there's buying, then I'm going to buy. And basically my strategy also assumes that I'm only giving maximally 10% of my capital at a given moment of time. So especially in the beginning, that's important. I don't want to spend every dollar on some small coin. I want to have, you know, a rolling back of different coins. So especially after a couple of days, you probably have like a plethora of coins in the end. So it gives me the iteration over all the pairs, which is pretty cool. This is for pair info in USDT pairs. I'm going to get everything, get the signals, and then basically have another list for all the signals. So now having this strategy before, so having this strategy for MACD RSI, I can just go over each pair, and then for each pair, so like if USDT, I get these pandas, I get the signals, and then I can just look at the signals and have, in the end, what I'm interested in is just a list of like, if USDT and then the signal is buy, or BTC USDT and the signal is sell, and that's the only thing I'm interested in. So I'm trying to construct this kind of list here, and this is what the ChatGPT is giving me. So I'm iterating over all the pairs, and as you can see, there's this list pair signals pair with all the signals, and now I'm adding the code to the above so that each buy and sell signal is printed with timestamp, pair, and signal. So this is pretty cool. Now I can iterate over everything. I think I got some errors, so we're getting back and forth with that. Here are the he forgotten actually about the how to add the indicators, so there's more back and forth, but basically we got the list in the end. Now what I wanted to do is that I wanted to start with the capital, so I wanted to have a JSON file with a capital like 300 USDT in the beginning, because 300 USDT was what I started with, and then I added 2 additional conditions as well. I wanted every 30 minutes to go through all the USDT pairs. So again, the bot is repeating everything, and I'm looking at all the signals, whether I should buy or sell something. And then for every buy signal, I use 10% of the capital in USDT to make the buy order. And for every sell signal, I'm selling everything to USDT. So if there's like a sell signal for ETH, I'm selling all the ETH to USDT, but I'm only buying with the 10% of the USDT capital. We can, and also I said that we have the sell and buy functions. Those functions were taken from the documentation, the one I showed you, using the Python OKX. I could ask ChatGPT for that, but again, the knowledge is up to 2021, so I really couldn't do that. But basically, in the end, I managed to get that, and basically it created me the code with everything and with the strategy as well. So I get the strategy, and as you can see, it's going over the pairs in USDT pairs, calculating the signals that I'm getting, and if the last signal is buy, then I'm buying. If the last signal is sell, then I'm selling, and then noting everything in JSON. So this is pretty cool, and I think there were some errors with which signal is to take, because actually, if you remember, then those buy and sell signals will actually be the list with timestamps. So I want to get the most recent one, because basically you could have like sell, 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 no signal, no signal, no signal, buy signal, and I want to take the most recent one, which is buy in this case. And this is what I wanted to explain here to ChatGPT, and basically it did that. So that was pretty cool. all in all, I'm getting closer to the bot that I want to run. As you can see, there's a lot of back and forth and also a lot of testing, because I did the mock function for buying, so I didn't want to even use the demo code. Before getting even to OKX, I did everything on my computer to try to test it, and everything in a JSON to monitor how the capital is working. So I had this JSON file with capital, and basically I used that to see how I'm buying and selling and how it exactly works. Now, I wanted to run this code on the server, and this is pretty cool, right? Because imagine you even didn't hear about like Heroku before. You could really only ask for what you want to do to ChatGPT, and it gives you the answer. And actually, it gave me the answer for how to start with Heroku here, how to run my script with Heroku, and basically give me everything I wanted to do. That was really cool. So that was like 20 minutes in the end of work for Heroku, but it gives me like the full documentation on how to start with Heroku, which is the place where I'm running the bot in order to connect, and it's super cheap also to do it. So there were some problems with Heroku in the beginning, so I also asked about that, but basically getting closer to what I wanted to be. I also had some problems with setting up the Heroku, but it really kept on explaining everything here without problems, going with the various stuff. So after basically setting up the Heroku, everything was done. So I asked about how to turn it off, how to turn it on, a lot of different things. So that was one thing. Basically, in the end, I got the code that I wanted, and it was running for already a couple of days. The problem was that, first of all, the problem with the capital variable, but also that in the end, I wanted to get the data from OKX. And I also wanted to trade, first demo trade, and then trade with the real capital. The cool stuff on OKX is that you just can create a demo account and have demo assets on that you can trade with, and this is basically what I did in the end, and also just had to modify the code a little bit. So there's a little bit of back and forth for making the code work. I'm going to show you that in the end, but we're getting closer to the end where all the ingredients are in place. I know that I want to deploy the bot on Heroku so that it runs all the time, and then I also added the function for evaluation of capital, so whether the bot is profitable or not over time, and yeah, getting back to the bot. So thinking about Bollinger Bands, but it didn't work, and then yeah, asking to like have a good explanation for that. But basically ignoring that, getting back. I get some errors when running with Bollinger Bands. Then I also had some errors when adding OKX code, because going from like the mock setup on my computer to the real setup of OKX, there were some problems with some of the functions. So there's a little bit of back and forth of that, as you can see. But in the end, yeah, I'm just showing what kind of results I was getting and what kind of problems I was having with OKX, and I wanted to go back and forth with a bunch of those stuff. So as you can see, it took me a lot of time to actually get it figured out so that it works. The code will be available somewhere in the description, but I actually would encourage you to do it yourself and actually play around with OKX or one of the other exchanges where you can get the data pretty easily, because of course all the exchanges want you to trade. So try ChatGPT, especially GPT-4, for all your trading needs. You might have your favorite indicators that you use yourself. You can try to think about how to automate this strategy. It's actually easier than you think. So if you want to get started, start with Python, start with OKX, and get started to trade automatically. And Heroku is also great to deploy everything and make it run 24/7. Which is also great. So really recommend it. In the end, I think this is like a great exercise. Nothing here is of course a financial advice, because those kind of bots are super risky in the end. Depends on the condition. This particular bot also is probably better for the bull markets than for the bear markets, but there's nothing to be promised regarding the APY. It really depends on like what kind of strategy, what kind of capital, how often it's being updated. Every condition here matters. There's a lot of tweaking, and if you want to be good trader, especially good trader with automatical tools like that, you really need to focus and take a lot of time. So don't trust anybody that will promise you a tool that will give you a guaranteed like $1,000 per week profit. It's not going to happen. And also for this one, if you like it, if you like tweaking the code, even if you are not a good coder, it doesn't really matter. It's more about actually more mathematics, more intuition behind how the assets, different assets move, what you want to observe, what kind of trends you want to get yourself into. If you have that, if you have this passion for those kind of assets, this is definitely the place for you. Coding is actually getting simpler and simpler by the day, thanks to ChatGPT, and this is the main, I think, what you can take from this video. Even if you're not a good coder, I'm definitely not. I'm like a pretty mediocre one. There are much better coders on Twitter. However, I'm super open. I really like all the AI stuff that I'm incorporating in my work. So I think this is the most important thing. And if you have this approach and you want to code yourself, but with the use of ChatGPT, you'll probably be one of the best if you take your time with it. So don't forget to subscribe. I tend to cover a lot of cool stuff, both from the technical perspective as well from the perspective of what's happening, what's the new narrative, and so on. So subscribe and see you in the next video.